doing a Q&A video for you today. So I reached out on Instagram and the Facebook group for questions, and you guys came back with some questions for me. So I've got 2 A4 pages. Oh my god, but I'm going to try and be as quick as possible. So, how are you finding doing a project life album? Do you work on it weekly, monthly, or when you have time? It's a goal of mine for this year, but I'm not sure where I want to start really. Okay, so this year, my goal for this year with regards to my project life album is to do a weekly spread. And now that I've got my Canon selfie, I'm like, and I've already completed week 1, so I'm like, major win. On Sunday I went through both John and mine's photos on my phone, and I printed them off and did my week one spread. Done. My goal is to do a weekly page every week, like on a Sunday. I want to just print all my photos out and put them in, and then that's done. I wanted to do that because I think it's really important to share the everyday moments, like the general day-to-day life, as well as like the major events and holidays and that kind of stuff. So there's that. Then when we go on holiday / vacation, or if there's a celebration like a wedding or Christmas or something, I will probably get those photos printed externally like photo box or something, and then I shall probably do a spread or 2 just on those events. So I'm hoping to incorporate the both into my album this year. I was really slack with my Project Life album last year. I've got tons of photos printed that I need to just sit and put into my album. So I'm working on the new one going forward with, you know, doing well on that, and then gonna spend some time and backfill my album. It's quite hard to keep on top of it sometimes, and you know, like do everything else I like to do as well of an evening, like journal and read and watch telly and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping this year though that I'm going to nail my project life a bit better. Are you still using your Erin Condren for memory keeping, or have you changed the way you're documenting those memories and events? No, I'm not using my Erin Condren anymore because it's run out. It's like done. It's the end. I did use it for a while, but then I kind of I found that it wasn't didn't give me as much space for journaling, for the written journaling, as I would have liked. So I did kind of abandon it before it had finished. Also, if you were a fruit tea, what flavour would you be? A fruit tea. Ooh, fruit tea. I don't really like fruit teas. Cranberry. Okay, next one. I hope you're having a great new year so far. I am, thank you very much. I love watching you create art and journal. I find myself having all of these creative ideas and can picture things I want to make. But when I sit down to paint or draw or whatever, it never turns out the way I want to. I'm never happy with what comes out on the page. What advice would you give to get over this slump? Is it just perfectionism getting in the way of truly creating freely? What would you suggest? You're right, it is definitely the perfectionism thing. And also, comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're comparing your art to other people as well, that's not good. You never know where people are on their journey, on their art journey or career. So basically, I am exactly the same. There are tons of things that I have loads of ideas floating around in my head, and when you get them on paper, you're just never happy with them. And I not only have I been there, I am there so very often. I only share a small proportion of the art that I create. I only share a proportion of that with you guys because a lot of it I don't like. I just don't like it. And So I don't put it out there. I try and look at it more as an activity rather than a final thing. I try and think about, well, did I have fun doing it? You know, did I put some music on, have like a bit of a release and a chill out zone? I think there will always be stuff that you create that you're not happy with, but you do need to let go of perfectionism a little bit. I think you should just enjoy the process. I'm the pot calling the kettle black here because, you know, I don't always practice what I preach, but I think it's a very common thing. I think it's very common, but and I used to, like, when is a finished piece, you know, because you can keep going and keep going and keep going all the time, but you've got to get to that point where you're fairly happy with it, or it's good enough, I think. So just keep going. The more and more you practice it as well, the better you will get. So say you want to draw faces, you can't necessarily expect to draw one face and be an expert at it. You know, keep going, keep drawing, keep doing it, and you know, you keep everything, and you'll soon start to notice an improvement. And you'll notice that if you look back on it, that you've come a long way and you're improving a lot faster than you think you are. So don't give up. Please don't give up, because you will, through all of that, you will create something that you love and you'll want to hang on your wall or feel really proud of. What are your favourite themes for pocket letters? I don't do pocket letters anymore. I did do pocket letters when they sort of had first sort of come out, kind of thing. I was introduced to them, but I don't have time for doing pocket letters anymore. Favourite theme? I wouldn't really have a favourite. My favourite book, I really love Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. That's probably one of my favourite books I've read over and over and over again. I really like The Night Circus. That's a really one I read a lot as well, over and over again. I've got loads of books. I can't narrow it down to one favourite. That's like choosing a favourite child. Same person also asks, do you like drawing cacti? Yes, I do. Miss Haggy C. Happy New Year to you and your family. Happy New Year to you too. What do you do with artwork that doesn't go to plan? How do you store artwork not on display? If you could have only one art supply, what would it be? Oh, that's right. So what do you do with artwork that doesn't go to plan? Depends on where it is. If it's in my journal, it just stays in my journal. If it's on, or like in a sketchbook or something, it just stays in there and I just like forget about it. If it's a canvas, I will usually gesso over it and reuse the canvas because I'm tight. And yeah, that's it really. I only ever really do canvases or journals or sketchbooks, and I'll just gesso over them and just reuse it, reuse it or leave it. Where do you store? How do you store artwork not on display? Well, most of my I don't have any artwork on display for a start. Secondly, most of my artwork is either in journals or sketchbooks. I very rarely do canvases because I used to do canvases and I found like I just had like way too many. My brass tabs were down. Way too many, and they were all in just crazy. So I actually either sold them or got rid of them. But they tend to be in like a plastic box. These days I don't very often create canvases. When I do create canvases, in recent times they have been for one of my Patreons, and or they go up for sale in my online shop. So I don't really tend to keep it. I don't really do anything that would need keeping, if you know what I mean. So yes, usually in journals and sketchbooks. If you could have only one art supply, what would it be? It would be watercolour. That is my favourite. A watercolour palette. That would be my choice. Would you ever see yourself back in rings full time for planning? I had this. If you saw my planning for 28 video, you'll know that I did contemplate going back into a ring planner for a little while. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I really love the system. I really, really love the Traveller's Notebook. And the main reason I wanted to go back into rings is because I really liked my Maldens, and I wanted to use my Maldens. I know I could make them into Traveller's Notebooks, but I'm not confident enough to do that. Because the rings kind of bug me a bit when you're writing, that, you know, you kind of bash up against the rings all the time. Now that you, Terry asks, now that you share your workspace together, could you do a vlog and let us see a sneak peek? I know you, Anna, have shared your workspace in the past. Right, well, the answer to this is no. Because, yeah, I've shared my current filming where I do like my art desk, where I do my filming. When I do my office space, like my computer stuff, John and I do share an office and share a big desk, and he works part-time for another company, and obviously he's got confidential stuff pertaining to that company, so I can't show like that. But actually we're going to be changing. It's all going to be changing again in our house. So the system that we've got isn't necessarily working for us, and we're going to be changing the rooms around and everything, like reconfiguring it. So I think basically, and moving stock around. So I think basically I'm going to go back to having the little room as my own office and art studio. So it's really difficult when you've got two people in a house that both work from home. So yeah, John works for another company part-time, but from home, and he also works along, we work together now, and so he is the one that does like all the packing, all the orders and everything like that. So yeah, the kind of current setup isn't really working, so we're going to move it all around again. Once that's done, then yes, I probably will share what my new space looks like, but it'll probably go back to how it was. See what I mean? Laura, are you printing your own stuff now or sending it off to the printers? Both. A bit of both, actually, depending on what it is. Mr. B, he does all of the printing and cutting. He's not me. I work 2 days a week, and in those 2 days I usually do all the art stuff, all the designing stuff, all the videos for Patreon, for YouTube, all the art and design stuff. And then when I can, around that, I then will do like all the admin and emails and everything around kind of like those times, as best I can, like evenings or whatever. Mr. B, he works, as I said, he works part-time for a company, and then the rest of the time he will help out with admin, and he does order packing and printing and cutting. Lorraine asks, would you ever consider providing digital downloads of your goodies? Yes, and yes I do. On my Etsy, I have all of my planner printables, so all of the inserts that I designed for planners, they are on Etsy for download. The other downloads that I do are all on my Patreon, and they are as collage sheets that you can use for like backgrounds and things in your journals. I do journal cards, I do standalone pieces of art that you can print and frame. Yeah, so on Patreon, like for $10, which is about £7.50, £8, you get an art like tutorial or an art video from me, another video which is random, and then like all of my digital downloads. So yeah, that's going on already. Corianne, where did it all start, and did you expect things to turn out the way they have? I've talked about this a few times on my channel, but I appreciate that people are new, so may not have seen it. But for those who have seen it, I'm going to give like a really brief rundown. So Mrs. Brimble's, the company, will be 5 in April 2018, which is just absolutely amazing. I was very poorly. I had pneumonia. and I'd just been made redundant from like an office job, and I was working for myself, and then I had pneumonia and I was out of work, and I started watching YouTube videos, and once I started to feel better, I thought I'd give back and make some videos for YouTube. And also it was good for me as something to do because I was recovering, you know, still being poorly and everything. And then it went from there. And then someone encouraged me to open up an Etsy shop and start selling some of my bits through Etsy. And then it just kind of continued. And no, I didn't expect things to turn out the way they have. I thought I would go back to doing the job that I used to do, which I'm glad. I'm actually prefer doing this job a lot more, like running Mrs. Brimble's the shop and stuff. I much prefer doing that. Cutie Pie Sparkle Face. That is an amazing Instagram name. How does your dedicated business planner work? I'm probably not going to go into this too much because I've just done a planning system for 2018 video, and in that I showed the inserts that I'll be using for my business and talking about how I do that. So I'll pop a link below and you can go check that video out, and that is a lot more comprehensive. But it's just everything all in one place. It's not that exciting or anything. It's quite run of the mill and mundane, really. I realise it's getting dark in here. I'm in my bedroom because it's just sort of like easier to think. But like this here, my bed's quite dark. The room's quite dark. Anyway, I digress. Freya, Happy New Year, Anna. Happy New Year, Freya. I'm so happy the box is back. That's the Brimbles box. And I'm interested to know what your plans are for it. How do you see it developing down the line? And maybe you could reflect on how the box has changed and evolved over the years. So my plans for it. My plans are currently just to kind of keep it as it is, and kind of get back into the swing of it and work out what the market wants. I'm quite happy with how it is at the moment, so I don't see it changing. But of course it has changed over time. So when I started doing the Brimbles box, oh my gosh, when was that? Was it 2014? I know it's been going like 3 or 4 years. I lose track of time because I find like time just kind of seems to years just seem to roll into each other and I can never remember. But it started off being a stationery box and not a planner box. It started off as a stationery box, just selling stationery stuff. And then it split down to a Happy Mail and a stationery box because a lot of people were really into pen panning, and I got asked if I could do a Happy Mail box. That eventually kind of was made obsolete because I was finding it increasingly difficult to find letter writing paper and envelopes and note cards and stuff, so that kind of went by the way. I had like boxes there were more and more people joining like the planner community. So basically I started it as a stationery box, but then it kind of, because I'm in the planner community, it kind of got picked up more by the planning community. And so then I did a planner box for ring bound planners, either a personal or an A5 or a generic box. And the generic box was basically everything else apart from the dashboard. The planner boxes had planner dashboards in them. And then that was just getting a bit crazy, and basically I was finding that people were unsubscribing because a lot of people change planners sizes quite a lot in the community, and it wasn't really working for them because they had to keep like cancelling and swapping and all that kind of stuff. So then I changed it from being like that to being just a one generic planner box, one size fits all planner kind of boxes. And at that point I also moved to being mainly just my products, because as the concept was growing of the Brimbles box, there were more and more people subscribing. It was getting increasingly hard to source products that fit the theme because each box was themed, and secondly suppliers just didn't have those kind of quantity. Suppliers didn't have like a few hundred of one item. So yeah, I found it really hard. So I moved over to doing all of my own products and yeah, doing a one size fits all. And you know, things are evolving all the time. You know, I had a lot of feedback from people saying that they weren't using the 12 by 12 papers. They were frustrated that it didn't go through the box didn't go through their letterbox. The PayPal subscription was just had a nightmare with that, and it was just kind of, it was time for having a little break and to take stock and then come back again. But I don't know how it will change. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so it's a 20-minute video, so I'll probably do a second video on, because all the other questions are for John and for me, sort of like personal and home life questions, so look out for that video.